Indonesian President Joko Widodo says that his cabinet is working as normal, as after reports emerge that some of his top officials are considering resigning over unhappiness with the leader's perceived election interference. The president told local media on the sidelines of an event that there are no problems within his cabinet when asked about the talk of discontent. A presidential palace official has also confirmed that Mr. Widodo will not take time off work to join any candidate's campaign events. The current president is facing mounting public criticism as the country gets set to head to the polls in around 2 weeks' time. Mr. Widodo has not explicitly endorsed any candidate running for the top job, but he has made publicised appearances with presidential frontrunner and defence minister Prabowo Subianto. The president faced criticism after a top court tweaked eligibility rules to allow Mr. Widodo's son to run as a vice presidential candidate with Mr. Prabowo. For more, Chani Vatvani joins us. She's live from Jakarta. Chani, the president says there's nothing to see here. What do we know about the reports of so-called discontent in the cabinet, and how will this impact the elections?
Well, the cabinet has no problem, and that is the official line from President Joko Widodo. That's what he's saying amid these reports of discontent. And Mr. Widodo appearing to downplay those reports as well, saying that it was normal to have differences of opinion and certainly democratic. To give you some context of this information on potential resignations, it initially came about from a local media report which quoted a senior economist saying that a number of ministers were planning to quit on concerns of ethical breaches, including Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati. Now, as it stands today, it has been business as usual for the finance minister, and in terms of impact on the upcoming elections, that remains to be seen. We are seeing certainly more segments of society voicing out their unhappiness and their concerns and calling for state officials to not succumb to pressure in supporting candidates. And with just under 2 weeks to go, Dawn, for voting day, it's possible that we may only see impact, if any, even once votes are cast.
Well, Chani, when it comes to those voters, millennials and Gen Z, that demographic is taking centre stage at the upcoming election, the presidential elections. What are the issues that matter most to them?
Well, a December poll showed that just around 40% of Gen Z had made their choice and made up their minds on who they want to vote for come February the 14th. And this means that the rest of them may still make or change their choices on the day. Now, I've spent some time, a considerable amount of time talking to young voters on the ground. And for many of them, the number one issue that they want the next president to pay attention to is jobs. The National Statistics agency has said that while unemployment figures have improved, they're not quite at the same levels that they stood at pre-pandemic. So suddenly jobs is on the top priority of these young voters. We also have on that list more widespread education, and there are also issues like human rights and climate change, which some young voters feel haven't been addressed seriously by the presidential candidates. And then we also have some of the youth who feel that presidential candidates have not fulfilled their foreign policy vision in the context of young voters. So a variety of issues that we are seeing there.
Chani, when it comes to a front runner, is there a clear preference at all towards any one particular candidate or pairing?
At this point, we are seeing diverse preferences, very diverse preferences when it comes to who young voters want as their next leaders. However, majority of the youth that I spoke to do have one thing in common, and that's they say that they want candidates to walk the talk and focus less on gimmicks. Catchy phrases, TikTok and Instagram reels and videos, challenge forums, and even viral dance moves. We are seeing that candidates are going all out, and they're sparing no expense in attempts to engage with and attract young voters. Let's take a look. Nurul Azmi Anissa Putri and Alia Putri Maharani will be casting their votes for the very first time. Both turned 18 last December, and the minimum age threshold for voting in Indonesia is 17.
Ya, menjadi omongan di kelas. Mungkin karena teman-teman aku juga baru pertama kali buat ikut pemilu.
They will join the more than 106 million young voters aged between 17 and 40 who make up the majority of this year's voter registration. Half of them are first-time voters. And candidates have gone all out to win their hearts and minds. Desak Anies, which means Challenge Anies, is former Education Minister and Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan's choice of strategy. It is a forum through which he has engaged with the country's youth in dialogue, and anyone attending is free to challenge him with hard-hitting questions.
Perizinan, kemudian permodalan.
Breaking out into viral dance moves is Prabowo Subianto. Gemoy is a pun on the Indonesian slang word gemas, used by youngsters to mean cute or adorable. It is a word that has become synonymous with him in the course of the presidential elections. It attempts to soften the image of the defense minister and former general, from that of an authoritative figure to one likened to a grandfather who has endeared the masses. There are hopes that his running mate, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, who is the youngest VP candidate at the age of 36, is able to resonate with and draw in young voters. The two are also depicted as cuddly cartoon figures. Meanwhile, a 23-second TikTok clip shows Ganjar Pranowo and his supporters all dressed in black, lifting their arms up and making the three-finger salute featured in the US film The Hunger Games. The former Central Java governor has a strong and popular TikTok presence, with appearances on variety TV shows and dialogue with the youth. Industry observers say winning votes from the group is key to victory.
I think it is understandable. Number one is because young voters are the deciding factors, and it is shown by the fact that every candidate is trying to make every effort to attract young voters. Through issues that are considered related to young voters, or by putting young figures in their own team, directly or indirectly.
The Indonesian National Youth Committee, the largest youth organization in the country, says the youth of today need a platform for their creativity. They need to see executable action for the youth or risk alienating them.
Dengan harapan besar nanti ke depan pemimpin ini bisa memberikan ruang-ruang kerja untuk anak muda lebih besar lagi. Dan selanjutnya yaitu ruang untuk mendapatkan pendidikan. Bagaimana peluang untuk mendapatkan pendidikan bukan hanya pendidikan sampai 12 tahun, tapi mereka bisa sarjana. Nah itu menurutku membuat mereka akan jauh lebih simpati.
Jobs, funding for startups, education, and free internet. These are just some of the programs that presidential and vice presidential candidates have outlined for young voters. Surveys have shown that the youth also worry about the economy, and observers say that Indonesia's young generation must prepare to become agents of change to support national development over the next 5 years.
That was Chani Vatvani there reporting for us from Jakarta. Thank you.